Professor Beale.
You sit down, sir.
William James is irrelevant.
And you, sir, you're impudent.
And you're jealous.
I think this man's taken leave of his senses.
You think I've taken leave of my senses?
You don't remember anything?
They say I shot Professor Beale.
Oh, I see. Are you saying you didn't?
No, they had plenty of people that saw me. She said I can't remember it.
The defense of unconsciousness.
You mean if I murdered somebody while walking in my sleep, I wouldn't be held responsible?
Well, if you can prove it, yeah.
What do we mean by it? It means simply temporarily forgetting. The notion, therefore, of recoverability is implicit. Amnesia for events that transpired during hypnosis has been the most concurrent trend of deep hypnosis. Ever since post-hypnotic amnesia was first discovered, quite by accident, by the Marquis de Puysegur in 1784. He mesmerized a young shepherd. What do you want now?
Miss Bronson, I really don't think so. Just a minute, and I'll ask him. Miss Bronson is 16 years old, and she'd like to know if you will sue her father for non-support.
On what grounds?
Well, he won't buy her a new sports car.
Oh, well, you tell her it's cheaper to get a boyfriend who owns one.
Miss Bronson, forget it. Well, same to you, honey. Oh, okay. Now, one very important thing.
Yeah.
Joyce phoned, and she wanted to remind me that we're supposed to go to dinner Friday night.
Okay, so we'll go to dinner Friday night.
Do you promise?
Of course.
Well, let's see. By my calculations, the last 4 times that we were all supposed to go out, you spent the entire evening talking to clients. One of them was so drunk that...
Mr. Petrocelli?
Yes. He's here.
Come in. Sit down.
I need a lawyer. It's not for me. It's for a friend of mine.
Okay. Well, what's your name?
Barth. Joan Barth.
And this friend of yours that needs a lawyer?
William Allen Flanders. We're TAs. Teacher's assistants at the university.
Okay, and why does he need me?
He's just been arrested for murder.
Who's he accused of killing? And when and where?
Professor Beale, he was giving a lecture about 3 hours ago.
A lecture? You mean with people there?
Yeah, well over 100.
Well, how did he kill him?
He shot him.
Wait a second. You mean to tell me there were over 100 eyewitnesses and he just came along, pulled out a gun, and killed this Professor Beale?
I know it sounds crazy, but I saw him do it. I mean, my God. At first I thought it was a joke. I mean, when I first saw Willie standing there with the gun, I thought he was only kidding. I mean, I thought he'd pull the trigger and an American flag would come out or something, but instead there was this awful noise and Professor Beale, he just fell.
Maggie, why don't you help her? I think I'll go down and introduce myself to your friend, Mr. Flanders.
Could I get you some water?
Yeah, please.
You couldn't resist, could you?
I can't resist you, Bonds.
You come to see the Flanders kid, didn't you?
Yeah, I came to see the Flanders kid.
Girl got to you. You can't resist the chance to defend a bald-faced homicidal maniac.
Bald-faced homicidal maniac. My friend, the judge, huh?
You're gonna lose this one, Petrocelli. This is open and shut.
Petrocelli?
That's right.
What are you doing here?
Why don't you think you need a lawyer?
Yeah, I guess I do. If what they tell me is true. But I didn't send for anybody.
Well, as a matter of fact, a lady by the name of Joni Barth asked me to see you. What does that mean, by the way, if what they tell you is true?
They say I shot Professor Beale.
Oh, I see. Are you saying you didn't?
No, they had plenty of people that saw me. Just that I can't remember it.
You don't remember anything?
I remember getting up this morning. I remember taking Joni to lecture with me. Look, I don't remember shooting Professor Beale. Look, I'm not lying. I don't remember it.
You'd be far better off if you were lying.
How come?
See, amnesia is the loser of all time as a defense.
Amnesia? I never thought of it that way exactly.
Then what exactly?
I don't know. It's a block, like I spaced out.
Do you use drugs?
No. Amnesia's a bad defense, huh?
It's the worst.
That's a damn shame, because that's all I got.
Then you don't remember planning to shoot Beale, where you got the gun, huh?
You don't believe me, do you?
Frankly?
It's all I got. I'm sorry for taking up your time.
Hey, Flanders, wait a minute.
Yeah, what?
Look, if you're willing to try to remember, I'm willing to try to believe. Fair enough?
What's there to remember, huh? I mean, it's blank. It's gone. It's like it never was.
Look, before and after the blank, minute by minute.
All right, I picked up Joni at 11 o'clock. We went to hear a lecture by Professor Beale. It was his last of a series before he was supposed to return to Chicago.
What is that? You mean Beale isn't local?
No. He's Brian's professor of psychology from Great Lakes University. He was here giving a series of 3 lectures on behavioral psychology.
And you'd never met him before, huh?
Well, I'd never seen him before, but I've heard of him and his half-wit theories on hypnotic induction and psychomotor retardation.
Wait. Now, do you remember arguing with Professor Bill at the lecture?
Sure I do.
Okay, take it from there at the start of the argument.
It started when he began quoting William James on hypnosis. Well, you might as well start quoting Calvin Coolidge on women's lib.
And you took issue with him.
Sure, as soon as I get his attention, yeah.
If I may quote again from William James. The radical defenders of the suggestion theory are thus led to deny the very...
I really tried to get his attention, but he wouldn't recognize me, so I interrupted him. Professor Beale.
In the sense of a peculiar trance-like condition which deprives the patient of spontaneity and makes him passive to suggestion from without. The trance itself is only one of the suggestions.
Professor Beale, may I say something?
You sit down, sir.
And many subjects, in fact, can be made to exhibit the other hypnotic phenomena without the preliminary induction process.
William James is irrelevant.
And you, sir, you're impudent.
And you're way off the mark. If you want to read something useful, read Professor Logan's book on hypnotic hallucination.
Yes, well, my views of Professor Logan's book, I think, are quite well known. And since Professor Logan teaches here full-time, I think you all have had enough of him and his book.
And you're jealous. You made a jackass out of yourself when you reviewed his book. It was a bitter, envious attack on the life work of a man who has long since passed you as an authority in the field.
Leave the room, sir.
Why don't you go back to Chicago? Huh? Go back to the 19th century. Go back wherever you came from and take William James with you.
All right, would someone call the campus police? I think this man's taken leave of his senses.
You think I've taken leave of my senses? I'll show you who's taking leave of their senses. It was a cheap shot implying that I was crazy. And it made me mad.
Willie? Willie, what are you doing? Willie, where are you going?
I don't know. I just don't like that jerk knocking Professor Logan that way.
Well, before you do anything else, call Professor Logan and tell him what happened.
I was really steamed up. But when Joni said I should call Professor Logan, I calmed right down.
Are you kind of close to this Professor Logan?
Yeah, Joni and I are TAs for him. He's a nice guy. He's helped me through problems before. Then I went to the phone booth.
And then what?
I don't remember. That's where it all stops.
Where what stops?
My memory. It's blank from the phone booth until...
Until what?
Until I came to in the auditorium. The pistol was in my hand. Professor Beale was falling.
Now, you don't remember anything about the gun. I mean, where or when you got it?
No.
Is it your gun?
No, I never owned one.
You know, the police are going to trace it. They're going to find out who bought it.
Well, good. Then we can all know who owns it.
Okay, Willie. I'll take the case.
Why?
Sheer masochism, I guess.
Masochism's an excellent motivator. I can dig it.
Yeah, I was sure you could. In the meantime, if you have any sudden restoration of memory, let me know, huh?
Sure. Mr. Petrocelli. Thank you.
Hey, Jerry! Hold up a minute. Got a little something for you. Don't you want a copy of this report?
I wish you were that concerned about your weight, huh? How do you know I'm going to take the case?
Oh, you're going to take it all right. A case like this to you is like a fix to a junkie. Here. We traced the gun. Belongs to a Professor Mark Logan. He's a professor of psychology out...
Yeah, I know. How did Willie get it?
Busted right into his private office.
Before or after the shooting?
About 5 minutes before. That gives us enough time to shore up premeditation.
Except for one thing. He doesn't remember it at all.
Well, considering all the eyewitnesses we got, maybe it don't matter one way or the other, does it? Have a nice day here.
Yeah, it's a little late for that.
How about a cold root beer?
Oh, thanks, honey.
Uh-huh. Listen,
Yeah.
if amnesia is not a formal defense, what is it?
Well, it's sort of a subtitle under a general heading of temporary insanity. The defense of unconsciousness.
Unconsciousness. That's a defense.
Well, if you can prove it, yeah.
You mean if I murdered somebody while walking in my sleep, I wouldn't be held responsible?
That is the theory.
I don't buy it.
Well, neither do most juries.
And do you know what? I find amnesia even harder to buy.
Yeah, well, tell me about it.
Why defend him?
Hmm?
Why defend him?
Because a man's entitled to a defense. And because I've been asked.
Oh, I just wanted to hear you say it again. I love you.
That's where you two were the last time I saw you. You're gonna starve to death kissing.
Show me a better way to go, huh?
Yeah, show us. Well, Mr. Ritter, your timing is perfect as usual. Dinner is almost ready.
I hope it isn't hot dogs.
Okay, Pete, what else you got besides your appetite, huh?
It's your client, Willie Flanders.
Okay, I'm listening.
You know, he's got an IQ of 161. Straight A's, scholarship student. He's from South Dakota.
Yeah.
He left his family's wheat farm with nothing but a pair of overalls to his name. And he's brilliant, he's studious, no police record, not even a parking ticket. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't date, no contact sports. He doesn't believe in war, sins. He doesn't believe in any kind of religion.
What about the American flag?
No, he's very patriotic. But he's been under psychoanalysis since about the age of 6 hours. Logan says he is latently homicidal. I mean, it has to do with the devil. He thinks the devil is going to take over the world by grabbing all the souls of all the politicians.
I'm with Willie.
Did you ask about amnesia? Any previous history of it?
Well, I asked Logan and the Barth girl. Nothing as far as they're concerned.
Hey, you guys. Mulligan stew, Texas style.
At least it isn't hot dogs.
Okay, Pete. I want you to check out Logan, Willie, the girl. After you finish with that, start with Arnold Beale, huh?
Tony, if you don't mind my asking, what's to defend?
A man's life, Pete.
Do you think you can really get him off?
Well, I am going to give it one hell of a try.
There's no use trying to reason with Italians, ma'am. They don't listen too good.
Moves like a butterfly.
Good to see you, Miss Petrocelli.
You too, Lieutenant.
What's that they say about the mountain in Muhammad?
Don't know, but I must be the mountain. I'm worried about you, Petrocelli.
I'm touched, Pons.
Sure you are.
Sure I am. Here you give up an afternoon in those dungeons to come down and see me? What's it about, Willie?
Yes, it is. You know, Petrocelli, me and you have locked horns on some good ones. I don't mind telling you, you've taken my batting average down a point or two. But I still like you.
Well, okay, Prince Charming, before you start proposing, what's on your mind?
Well, we got ourselves a strange one here. Now, don't get me wrong. We got enough on this fella to hang him from here to Harvard. I mean, we got a lock. We got premeditation, we got the gun, we got everything. But
what?
Well, there's one peculiar thing. Now, we know he had a big fight with that Professor Beale. He come out of there madder than a hornet in a pillow fight. He says he called Professor Logan, but Logan never got the call.
Hello? Professor Logan is out of his office. If you'd like to leave a message, wait until you hear the tone.
So, he knew Logan wasn't there. He also knew Logan kept a gun there. That's a fact Logan told us. The departmental secretary heard the racket, stuck her head in the door.
What are you doing in here?
For events which occur within hypnosis has been the most recurrent sign of deep hypnosis ever since post-hypnotic amnesia was first discovered quite by accident by the Marquis de Puysegur in 1784. He mesmerized a young shepherd who... What do you want now?
Now, that don't sound to me much like a man who lost his memory. Does it to you?
But what's the point?
The gun.
What about it?
Except for the one bullet that killed Professor Beale, that gun was full of blanks.
If it was loaded with blanks, how did anybody get shot?
Obviously, there was a live round in the chamber.
Double action automatic pistol. You don't have to work the slide to arm it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look, the most important thing to do is to find out where those blank cartridges came from. I mean, who bought them and where?
Maybe they weren't bought in town.
Just assume they were bought in town.
Pueblo gun shop. But they wouldn't keep records of anybody just buying blanks.
Well, why don't we check it out? People may get lucky, huh?
You bet.
Maggie, did you call Professor Logan?
Yeah.
Yes, I kept a gun in my office for reason of protection. I used to keep small quantities of LSD and amyl nitrate on hand for experimental purposes only, and we had a few burglaries, but no, I never loaded the gun with blanks.
So where did you keep it?
In a lower drawer in my desk.
Did anybody else know it was there?
I really don't know. It was no secret, but I certainly don't remember speaking about it to anyone, except perhaps my teaching assistants during the time of the burglaries.
I see. Well, the last thing Willie Flanders remembers before blacking out was calling you.
Yes, that's what the police said. Well, if he did call, he didn't get through. How long before the killing was that?
10, 15 minutes, I guess.
Ah, yes. Well, that might explain it. You see, about an hour before the killing, I received a call from one of the nurses down at the Westside Psychiatric Clinic. She said that there was an emergency, that one of my patients was there and was in trouble, so naturally I left immediately. But it was a wild goose chase.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, when I arrived at the clinic, there was no patient and no trouble, nor had any of the nurses made any such call.
It's a little unusual, isn't it?
Well, I deal with some very unusual people.
Yeah. And you were gone for about an hour, huh?
I'd say closer to 2. So if Willie could have called during that time, I suppose, but... Oh, wait a minute. Now, if he used my private line...
Well, he gave me a number from memory. 55741111.
That's it. You see, I have a telephone recording device. It's great help to me. So if he called and left a message, I'll have it on tape. Why don't you come up to my office and we'll play?
Fine.
Mr. McCormick. That's the recording device I was mentioning earlier. Now let's see if I can find that tape. There it is.
Yeah, Mark, this is Ed Demerara. If you refer to a lady named, let's see, Campbell. Maxine Campbell to me? Would you give me a call right away? She's more than I can handle. Thanks.
Hello? Professor Logan is out of his office. If you'd like to leave a message, wait until you hear the tone.
What was that?
Sounds as though someone called, left no message, and hung up.
That might have been Willie.
Well, we'll never know that, I suppose.
Do you think he had any reason to kill Beale?
None that I know of.
But he did.
Thank you very much. Oh, how I love that applause. More. Well, as you can see, this gentleman's body is extremely rigid. He's in a very deep hypnotic state, and when he comes out, he won't remember anything that's happened. Gentlemen, would you please help me?
How do you like that?
Easy does it now. We don't want to break him. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Give him a nice hand, won't you? Now I'm going to wake him up. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out. Well, tell me something. How do you feel?
I've never felt better.
I think that's wonderful. Now, why don't you go back out there and enjoy the rest of the show? Give him a big hand. Give him a drink. Thank you. And now, I'd like to call for another volunteer from the audience. Another man. Because I like men.
Tony, you do it.
Are you kidding?
No, go on.
I'm gonna get out there and give away all my client secrets? Come on. Pete, why don't you volunteer?
No, they're not going to get me up there with a tow truck. I'm not going
Miss
to.
Tracy, Pete Ritter. Great subject right here.
I promise you I don't bite. Not much. Tell me something, Mr. Ritter. May I call you Pete? Hmm?
Well, that's my name.
Tell me something, Pete. Have you ever been hypnotized?
No, I don't believe so.
No, but he's been in a fog for the last 10 years.
Do you like my eyes, Pete?
Well, I got nothing against them.
Well, would you look at me, Pete? Hmm?
He's scared to death.
Am I hypnotized yet?
No, not yet. You like my eyes, don't you, Pete?
Well, I sure have seen worse.
Now, Pete, I'm going to count from 5 backwards, and I want you to listen to me very carefully in case I make any mistakes. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you hear me, Pete? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now, we'll just see how asleep he is. Ooh, he is sleeping. Wow. Oh, now those friends of Pete's. Tell me something about Pete, something that he's fond of.
Women!
Beer! Beer, that's fine. Now, Pete, I'm going to bring you out of it. But before I do, we're going to have to agree on something, all right?
All right.
What we're going to have to agree on, Pete, is that beer tastes like turpentine, okay?
Okay.
Now, I'm going to give you a word, a post-hypnotic word. After I wake you up, you won't remember anything that we've said while you were sleeping. But as soon as I say the post-hypnotic word, you will immediately remember and believe that beer tastes like turpentine. Do you understand?
Right.
Now, the post-hypnotic word is, marbles. Marbles. Have you got it?
Yes.
Fine. Now, Pete, I'm going to bring you out of it. And as soon as you come out, I want you to ask for a beer. Now, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and...
My
mind if I have beer?
One beer coming up. Thank you. Nice cold glass of beer. There you go.
Thank you. Want to get on with that hypnotizing?
Do you like the beer?
It's great.
You're sure? Have another taste.
Hey, if you're trying to get me drunk, you picked the right liquid, because I love beer.
That's just fine, Pete. Now, Pete, I think you ought to have one more sip. Oh, by the way, Pete, when you were a little boy, did you ever play with marbles?
Ooh. Oh.
What's the matter, Pete? Something wrong with your beer?
This isn't beer. This is turpentine.
That's it. That's gotta be it. Professor Logan, what are some of the ways that hypnosis can be used in psychological research?
See, there's hypnotic control of emotion and motivation, of performance and physiology, of cognition.
Wait just a second. I didn't bring my dictionary with me, so I'm just a working lawyer. Could you kind of break that down?
Oh, yes, well, let's take hypnotic control of cognition. Now, there's hyperamnesia, which is increased power of memory, and amnesia, which is loss of memory. Now, hypnotized people often undergo unusual tricks of memory. And then, of course...
Now, wait a second. Hold it right there. Are you saying that hypnosis can cause amnesia?
Well, haven't you caught Annabelle Tracy's act?
No, I want you to tell me that it's a scientific fact.
Well, yes, it is.
And that memory loss can persist.
As long as the subject remains under the post-hypnotic influence.
Now, do you teach your students to hypnotize each other, Professor?
Teach, yes. Encourage, no. You see, Mr. Petrocelli, it's a very dangerous thing for people to dabble in hypnosis, and very, very difficult. It's something that should be done only under the most careful, very carefully controlled situations. Now, if my students hypnotize one another outside of the strictly controlled circumstances of the hypnosis laboratory, well, they're misusing their education. And as far as I'm concerned, they're playing fast and loose with one another's emotional and physical well-being.
Do you think that Willie Flanders was playing fast and loose?
Yes, I do.
What about Joni Barth?
She was the worst offender of them all.
Well, thanks very much, Professor.
Glad I could be of some help.
Mr. Petrocelli.
Looks a little like Professor Logan.
It is a Christmas gift.
Ah, no photographs and just memory, I guess, huh?
I know Mark's face. I mean, I've known Professor Logan for 3.5 years.
Matter of fact, I was just talking to him about hypnosis, and he tells me that you and Willie are pretty heavily into it.
Well, I am writing my thesis on hypnotism and behavior control technology.
You two ever practice on one another?
Oh, yes, but not exclusively. I mean, I liked working with Willie, but we both have high susceptibility, and it got a little ridiculous.
How do you mean?
Well, we could put one another under so easily. I mean, we were so preconditioned to one another that we forgot who was doing what to whom.
That is a little strange. You mean you and Willie,
Oh, no, it was never anything really personal. The chemistry just isn't there.
Ah. Did you ever think that Willie was homicidal?
No. But then you never know people, do you?
Yeah, well, they say that a person will not do under hypnosis what they would not normally do.
Well, they're wrong. That's the central notion of my thesis. Through the use of imagery, you can induce people to do things that they would not dream of doing outside of hypnosis.
Imagery?
Yes, well,
If I told you to go and shoot your wife, you'd probably refuse.
Well...
But if I could convince you by suggestion that your wife was actually a lioness about to attack your children, you might well shoot her.
Yeah, I see. Well, do you think that Willie could have been under hypnosis when he shot Professor Beale?
How would he get hypnotized?
Well, I don't know. But perhaps that could account for his memory loss.
Well, if you ask me, and you are asking me,
It sounds very unlikely. I mean, really reaching.
I mean, I can understand why Willie did it.
Professor Beale was an incompetent that was doing all he could to ruin Mark's life.
How does that?
You mean you haven't read Beale's review of Mark's book in Psychology Journal?
No, it's not exactly on the bestseller list.
Read it. An absolutely vicious, outrageous attack on Mark's life work. Beale is such a wrong-headed, old-fashioned... Well, my thesis is a repudiation of everything he stood for.
I see. In other words, your thesis then would be a defense of Mark Logan's theories.
Point by point. I'm only sorry that Beale won't be able to read it.
Well, I guess I'll be seeing you at the preliminary hearing.
Oh, yes, I'll be there.
Fine. Logan did say he'd return your call.
Mm-hmm. 3 hours ago.
What's his private number?
It's right there in your little book.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello? Professor Logan is out of his office. If you'd like to leave a message, wait until you hear the tone.
Honey?
Yeah?
I want you to pick up the phone when I tell you to.
Hello? Professor Logan is out of his office. If you'd like to leave a message, wait until you hear the tone.
You know whose voice that is?
No.
Joni Barth's.
Well, does that mean something?
Well, I don't know yet.
He didn't speak to me when he came back to the auditorium. He didn't even look at me. He went right by, walked down the stairs, and...
And shot Professor Beale.
Yes.
Your witness.
I have no questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Witness is excused.
Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it has established the necessary probability as required by this hearing and will present no further evidence at this time. We ask that the defendant, William Allen Flanders, be bound over for trial on the charge of murder in the first degree.
Is defense ready, Mr. Petrocelli?
If it pleases the court, Your Honor, the defense wishes to move at this time for the dismissal of the charges against the defendant.
On what grounds?
Incompetency of the defendant to stand trial because of memory loss. That's amnesia as to the events just preceding the death of Arnold Beale.
You're prepared to prove amnesia?
No, Your Honor. However, I doubt whether anybody else ever has. But I am prepared to cite legal precedent in support of my motion.
Very well.
Wilson versus the United States. In this case, it was held that a criminal defendant's loss of memory might well deprive him of the fair trial to which the Fifth and Sixth Amendments entitle him.
Your Honor, if it please the court, does learned counsel take the position that due to the defendant's alleged amnesia, there are certain vital bits of information which are unavailable to him?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Unavailable because he can't recall them?
Exactly.
So, in other words, the defendant can't remember exactly what it is that he's forgotten, but he can remember forgetting it.
No, not at all, Your Honor. The defendant simply deduces from his memory loss that his capacity to distinguish right from wrong was entirely diminished, and that he therefore is innocent of any wrongdoing.
Well, inasmuch as this is not a trial, but only a preliminary hearing, and you'll have a chance to prove your thesis, motion is denied.
Well, it's worth a try.
Pueblo gun shop coming through. Here's a list of names of people who purchased ammunition and blanks 32 in the last 60 days. Take a look at number 8 name.
Mr. Petrocelli?
Your Honor, the defense requests a short recess so that I may review some new information.
Well, in view of the hour, court will recess until 2 o'clock.
All please rise.
Get ready. I'm going to put you on the stand. Pete, now listen close. I want you to get out to the university and tell Professor Logan that it's imperative that he lend us the tape to his telephone answering machine, the one with Joni Barth's voice on it. Joni? Miss Barth? May I have a word with you? Now, do you want to tell me about it?
About what?
How you put Willie Flanders on trial for murder.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't, huh? This record of sales. You bought a box of 32 caliber blank cartridges at the Pueblo gun shop 5 days before Arnold Beale was killed.
It wasn't me.
Oh, it was you all the way. From loading Professor Logan's pistol with those 32 blank cartridges to making that phony telephone call to Logan's office to get him out of there and then telling Willie to call Logan when you knew Logan wasn't there.
I don't have to listen to this.
Oh, you're gonna listen to it. No, you can cool it. That's right, you can cool it, Joni. But I can practically guarantee you that Willie Flanders will hang for murder one.
I thought you could get him off.
No, I can't get him off. I can't get him off without your help. Look, I know the details, I know how it was done, but I can't prove it. Now, only you could make sense of that in court. Okay, what's it gonna be, Joni? Are you gonna do the right thing, or are you gonna wish for the rest of your life that you'd done the right thing?
I only wanted to prove that Professor Beale was wrong.
I see. So you set Willie up. You used him to prove your point, huh?
Yes, but I never meant for him to kill him. I only meant for Willie to come into that lecture with the gun and go through the motions of shooting Beale with a blank cartridge. That would prove that a person under hypnosis will do things that he would not normally do. That would prove that Mark Logan's theories were correct and that Beale's were incorrect. That was the whole point. That's why I filled the gun with blanks.
You forgot there was a bullet in that chamber. You loaded the clip with blanks. There was a live round under that firing pin.
I don't know about guns. I can't let them hang, Willie. I never intended to. I felt terrible. But I was too afraid to come forward. I don't want Willie to die. I don't want to die either.
Look, you're not going to die. The worst you can get if you're telling me the truth is involuntary manslaughter. I'll take your case. So you remember arguing with Professor Beale?
Yes, sir. He was quoting from William James.
And you left the auditorium?
Yes, sir.
And you remember Joan Barth following you outside?
Yes, sir.
Did she speak to you?
She told me not to do anything until I called Professor Logan.
And what did you do then?
I went to this phone booth and I dialed his private number.
And what happened?
I don't know. I mean, that's where everything went blank.
You heard nothing?
No.
I think you did, Willie. With the court's permission.
Professor Logan is out of his office. If you'd like to leave a message, wait until you hear the tone.
Willie? Willie, can you hear me?
Mr. Petrocelli, is he ill?
No, Your Honor. He's hypnotized due to post-hypnotic suggestion induced by the sound of the tone in the tape you've just heard. With your indulgence, Your Honor, I would like to go back to the day of the killing to complete the sequence of events. When Willie heard that beep over the phone, he was instantly and fully hypnotized. Except this time, instead of just doing a classroom exercise, he was under command to perform a series of things he would never do if he were conscious. His reality had changed. He was, in his state of mind, about to perform a courageous act. He was going to save his fellow students and himself from what he had been hypnotized to believe was a violent situation.
The notion of recoverability, therefore, is implicit. Amnesia for events which occur within hypnosis has been the most recurrent sign of deep hypnosis.
Waiting for him in the auditorium in happy anticipation of the vindication of her thesis was Willie's programmer, Miss Joan Barth. She watched him address Professor Beale.
Mesmerized a young shepherd.
She knew what he thought. He was seeing Beale pointing a shotgun at him and was delighted to watch him aim the pistol and fire. And then it all turned to horror. With Your Honor's permission and indulgence, I'd like to ask Willie's programmer, his hypnotizer, to come forward and bring Willie out of trance by exactly the same signal that brought him out the day of the killing. Court's permission. The end, Your Honor. Willie? Would it surprise you to hear you've just been in a trance? A trance induced by Miss Joan Barth?
No, I'm not surprised a bit. She does it to me all the time.
You gonna defend that Barth girl?
Sure am.
Well, I'd be damn careful if I was you. She's liable to snap you under and you wake up defending yourself.
You think you can get her off?
Yeah, I really do. Now, she's a little foolish, but she didn't mean that to happen. You know, even for manslaughter, you gotta prove at least gross negligence.
Now, I don't think you can kill somebody and not remember it, even if you are hypnotized. I mean, like, take me, for instance. I remember everything that happened in that nightclub that night, don't I?
Yes, you do, because you happen to be a very remarkable man, Pete.
Remarkable.
Hey, Maggie, now you got a root beer.
Yeah?
I don't know what it is, but the last week or so, that regular beer tastes like, I don't know, like turpentine. What's so funny about that?